Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called A Screw. This happened years ago, and the solution is still helping people. The problem ensued when I was still working the front lines. We got a huge amount of tickets every week from our client side. In a landscape of 3200 workstations, laptops, we've often struggled with a set of inexplicably slow systems. And when we say slow, we mean painfully slow. Nothing helped. Monitoring didn't reveal any anomalies. CPU values seemed fine. Memory appeared to be adequate. Rebooting the system, reinstalling the system, testing a different image, adding more RAM, replacing the SSD, swapping out network cables at the workstation, replacing switches in the server room, contacting the manufacturer. Even in consultation with HR, we have had some users replaced, but it was to no avail. The systems remained slow. Users grew tired of reporting it. They considered it a part of life. Some systems were slow, others were faster, but these laptops were faster than the previous models, so it was considered an improvement. It was accepted, but that doesn't feel right. Knowing that some users can only work at a fraction of their potential. A sluggish workstation creates sluggish users. At the end of 2017, a Windows 10 migration took place within this landscape. You know the drill. Setting up a nice assembly line to bulk provision those machines with the shiny new operating system we all love. However, during the provisioning, we noticed that not every device kept up at the same pace. Some laptops, including policy retrieval, took no more than 45 minutes. Others took over 4 hours. Some laptops booted up within 1 minute, while others took 15 minutes. We decided to troubleshoot again. We discovered that Windows 10 monitors differently from Windows 7. In Task Manager, we saw something quite extraordinary. Laptops were performing at a maximum of 30% of their capability. There were users who were performing at 70% less efficiency within the same time frame as their colleagues with faster systems. That sounded like a business killer. So we contacted Dell, the manufacturer, again. This time with a well-founded complaint. The laptops were underperforming. The manufacturer had no idea either. Was it Windows 10? Because the devices originally came with Windows 8. We even tried downgrading, but to no avail. We were back on the line with the manufacturer's technical support. After about a month of back and forth, we managed to get a technician to replace the motherboard and consequently the CPU. This was a solution at last, from a slow machine to a fast-working model. Then we reached out to all users we knew had received a 30% laptop. The news spread rapidly within the organization, and within a month we found that 150 users were affected by this issue. But we also discovered that some users had received multiple laptops with a 30% CPU multiple times. Some of these laptops had even been repaired by a technician. How could that be? The technicians didn't understand it. We didn't understand it. And even specialists were baffled. Time for a web search. Somewhere hidden on the later pages of Google, on a dubious looking forum, we found a suggestion. Open up the system, remove the keyboard and unscrew screw X. Since we had tried everything within our knowledge, we shrugged our shoulders and, with a devil-may-care attitude, bravely grabbed the iFixit kits and got to work. What did we find? Screw X was indeed the culprit. We were astonished. The on-site technician had to be recorded. He burst into hysterical laughter. If Screw X was tightened too much, it made contact with the motherboard, causing the problem. If you press the C key on the keyboard too hard, you temporarily encounter this issue. The time required for an experienced administrator? Barely 10 minutes. My colleague got so good at it, he could do it in under 3 minutes. We wrote a script to proactively detect laptops running at the capped speed. We could now proactively contact users with said issue. We fixed over 400 laptops with the issue. The next story is called Tell the CEO. I worked IT at this company previously that had managers that took upon themselves to hire interns without talking to HR first, and then swing by IT with the intern. on their supposed first day and demand user account and email setup and a laptop provided at once, because the intern had to start working on an important task immediately. The CEO also was the founder and owner of the company. One morning, the CEO's assistant swings by IT with panic in his eyes and the CEO's laptop in his hand. Turns out Windows decided to mess up the boot record and wouldn't boot. A not uncommon problem with Windows XP in those days. Problem was that we had a third-party hard drive encryption and you had to decrypt the drive before you could check test on the drive and fix the boot issue. Not hard, but time-consuming on those old hard drives. The biggest issue was that the CEO was going to hold a presentation at a university seminar in 2 hours, and the PowerPoint presentation was on the hard drive in his laptop. I told the assistant that in worst case, I can access the drive with the emergency disk and copy the presentation to a USB stick, and then they could run the presentation on the assistant's laptop instead, because decrypting the disk and getting Windows back to working order in less than 2 hours was cutting it close. I copy out the presentation to a USB stick and give it to the assistant, and he goes to set his laptop up to be used for the presentation. Enter some young guy I had never seen before. "Hi, I'm the new intern and I was told you have a laptop for me. Sorry, but I have got no information at all about anyone new coming and I really can't do anything about it right now, as I'm by myself today and I'm working on an urgent priority 1 case. I can have a machine up and running during the afternoon at the earliest." The intern walks away and I continue working on getting the CEO laptop back in working order. Cue 20 minutes later. The idiot manager enters IT with the intern in tow. "This is intern. You must have a laptop and email now. Did you send a request to help desk or HR about this 2 days beforehand as per policy? No? Well, then you'll have to wait until this afternoon, as I have more urgent matters. That is unacceptable. This intern needs his accounts and laptop. I brought him in to do urgent work for me. By now I had less than an hour before I had to have the CEO's laptop in working order and sent off in a cab to the university. And I was very fed up with this entitled idiot of a manager. So I had a snarky tone when I said, "See this laptop? This is the CEO's laptop. In less than an hour, this laptop has to be in working order and at the university for him to hold a presentation. But I tell you what, if you call the CEO now on speakerphone and explain to him that your unannounced intern getting his accounts and laptop set up takes priority over the CEO getting his laptop fixed before his presentation at the university, and he agrees to that, I will gladly switch to setting up your intern instead." The manager didn't answer, so I said, "If there's nothing else, please excuse me, but I have to get this laptop working." The manager leaves IT with the intern, muttering something under her breath. 40 minutes later, and I have the CEO's laptop back in working order, just in time for the CEO's assistant to collect it and jump in a cab to the university. Later, I got a thank you for all your help from the CEO, and the intern was set up and could collect his laptop when he got back from lunch. As they say, bad planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. The third story is called Gatekeepers. At my last job, I often had to triage tickets, as there was often way too much while looking at the queue. Have it be generic titles, tickets with fragmented sentences and no hardware info, or something IT support didn't handle. I often needed to edit the tickets and get them sent to the right person or team. One time, a request for access to an arcane and obscure web portal was requested by someone. I'll call them Jerry. The IT department didn't grant access, so I updated the ticket and directed it to the right team. I then promptly forgot about the ticket for 2 months. 2 months later, I got a call from Jerry, who said he needed to get access right then and there for a client. I stated I didn't grant access to that, and I forwarded the call to the portal gatekeeper. I then got the call right back. As Jerry stated, the gatekeeper didn't handle the portal, and it's an IT problem. I told Jerry I'd call them back after I go to talk to the gatekeeper. I decided that I wasn't going to use any electronic filters for the gatekeeper's sake, and found them fiddling with their phone in their office. "Hey, Jerry needs access to this portal. You looked at the ticket. Aren't you going to work on it?" Well, Yeah, IT doesn't grant access to that portal, since it has info we aren't supposed to see. You are the person who is the admin for the portal. You just gotta add their email. The gatekeeper shows me printed instructions from the retired gatekeeper. You edited it, and so it's your ticket. Can you remote into my computer and add them for me? Talk to your boss about it. They should have some more info on the portal. I don't have access, and I was told by my boss that we shouldn't be doing the work for others. I leave and inform my boss about the issue, who stated that he was going to bring this up with the gatekeeper's overlord. The next day, while working at home, Jerry calls, asking if he can access the portal now. He can, but the permissions are limited. The gatekeeper's director, a really nice dude, was on the gatekeeper's case about the situation. Gatekeeper CC'd me on a lengthy email chain about how all software things are IT's responsibility. The IT department director ended the chain by stating that IT really shouldn't be seeing contracts with lots of data and the ilk. They have security for a reason. Also, he stated that just because an IT grant edited a ticket, it's not their sole responsibility. The last story is called Data Usage. I take tech and customer service calls for this big cell company. This customer called in. I left big cell company in February because you guys lied about my son's data usage. Oh no, I see you had an account with us for 15 years. How do you know that we lied about the data? My son's usage jumped my bill up over $100 in February, and he has had no lifestyle changes or changes in how he uses data. I think it was the Wi-Fi Assist. Wi-Fi Assist is a feature on Apple products that can supplement your weak Wi-Fi signal by also using data so that the speeds will still be fast. This usage in a typical month is only megabytes and doesn't affect people's bills. But this was an easy way to blame another company when this feature first came out. So now there's a stigma that data usage isn't the customer's fault. After explaining this, I said it must be something else. I even see that his usage has skyrocketed to 30 gigs on the last 2 bills. Yes, that is because he started a new job that requires that usage. Wow, a job that lets you use your phone that much? Sounds great. How long has he worked there? Since January? So your bill jumped up after he started the job that requires him to use a ton of data? Yes. And you still think we are lying about the data usage? Yes. I feel like she could hear the facepalm through the phone. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.